You and the Holy Goat. Ghost.
As one of the oldest institutions in the country, the Catholic Church carries a lot of history with it. Most of these facts, more often than not, are forgotten either because of our own neglect or because the Church draws attention to itself only when it is in the middle of a controversy. To correct this oversight, let's gloss over 5 interesting facts about our very own Catholic Church, facts we're sure your teacher may have missed out on during history class. Before the RH Law, there was the Rizal Law. For all the controversy generated by the reproductive health law, it still arguably pales in comparison to the hula baloo of Republic Act 1425, better known as the Rizal Law. The bill, which required public and private schools to teach Jose Rizal's No Limit Tangere and El Filibusterismo, was heavily opposed by the Catholic Church and its allies on the grounds it attacked church dogmas, beliefs, and practices. Supporters of the bill, however, countered that the Catholic Church was trying to suppress the memory of Rizal and his teachings. Arguments became so heated that at one point, church authorities threatened to close down their schools. However, the unfazed Senator Claro M. Recto, the bill's author, dared them to go ahead so the state could take over.
I dare you! I double dare you, mother...
The Catholic Church almost lost half of its properties in the Revolution.
The money, Skylar, where is the rest?
While discriminating by the Spanish members of the Catholic Church against secular priests and native population invariably contributed to the revolution. There is a little discussion of what happened to the church other than its eventual disestablishment. In the initial war against the Spanish and later on against the Americans, the church fell into disarray, with several Spanish clergymen either killed or imprisoned by the revolutionaries. Also, nearly one half of the church properties were taken over by the Philippines Independent Church led by Gregorio Aglipay, who at one point said over half of the population had defected to his church. The announcement proved to be premature. However, as the Supreme Court decisively ordered the Aglipayans to return all the property they seized from the Catholic Church in 1906.
Show me the money!
The Catholic Church allegedly collaborated with the Japanese in World War II.
You read English, I take it.
Do you read Japanese?
As shocking as it may sound, the top brass of the Catholic Church allegedly encouraged collaborating with the Japanese during World War II. The foremost proponent of Filipino-Japanese cooperation was said to be Manila Auxiliary Bishop Cesar Ma Guevara, who reportedly extolled the benefits of being under a sister Oriental nation. In fairness, the bishop came from the prominent and nationalist Guerrero clan, his father none other than the famous revolutionary and botanist Leon Ma Guerrero. As a result of his nationalist upbringing, Guerrero most likely approved the end of American rule and hoped the new Japanese occupation give the Philippines the independence it so deserved. Also, not all clergymen favored cooperating with the Japanese. Several, including Rufino Santos, the first Filipino Archbishop of Manila, ended up in prison for helping the guerrillas. He was almost executed too, but was fortunately saved at the last minute by Filipino-American forces.
I must carry out my orders.
Oh, quiet.
Hundreds of priests and nuns joined the underground movement during martial law.
Mother Superior will see you now.
Influenced by the growth of liberation theology in the 1960s in South America and Vatican II, many priests and nuns in the Philippines began to take on more active roles in the social struggle for the poor. With the imposition of martial law in the 70s, the number exponentially increased. While no exact figures can be given, it is estimated that hundreds of priests and nuns went underground during that period, their roles ranging from covert support to actually fighting with the guerrillas. Later on, some like Frank Fernandez and Conrado Balueg would altogether leave the priesthood and become full-blown communist guerrillas.
Nice working with your sister.
Anytime, brother.
The separation of the church and the state was decided by a single vote.
Order!
Cheeseburger, please!
While the Americans would implement it anyway during their occupation of the country, the Filipinos decided for themselves once for all the separation of church and state during the 1898 Malolos Congress. Debates raged on back and forth as anti-separatists led by Felipe Calderon squared off against the pro-separatists led by Tomas del Rosario. The voting itself was close, with the first round a tie. In the second round, the pro-separatists won the slimmest of margins, a single vote. The tiebreaker was given by Pablo Tecson, a KKK leader and an officer in the Philippine Republican Army who ironically used to work as a writer for the Spanish-era publication Catholic Periodical Guide. With a decisive win, the separation of church and state forever became enshrined in the country's succeeding constitutions. Help build our channel constitution by clicking the subscribe button and ring that bell to get notified for more great videos.